Hi guys, it's Shell, Sunbury Housewives. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see future videos. Today, I am making a Jack Daniel's Whiskey Barrel wood grain tumbler. And I am going to go ahead and get started by taking everything out of the box. I am using a 25 ounce, technically it's a wineless stem tumbler. I call these the barrel tumbler because they kind of look like a barrel or a football shape. So I'm putting everything back into the box that I don't need so that I don't lose it. And then I'm going to remove the little sticker from the bottom of the tumbler before I go ahead and prep the tumbler. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my sanding block and sand the protective layer off, and then take my 91% alcohol and clean the tumbler before I paint it. So I'm going to use the pop of color white to paint the tumbler. I believe I do 2 coats of paint on this. I couldn't do the spray paint because for 2 reasons. 1, it was raining this day, and 2, the Rust-Oleum paint has been sucking lately. So I'm just going ahead and using the pop of color paints. I really like this paint. It's self-leveling, and I'm just really messily painting this because 1, it'll give it a little bit of texture, and 2, it's going to get covered up with alcohol ink anyway. So once that paint dries, I am taking, I believe this is caramel alcohol ink from Holtz, and this chip brush, and I do use it a little black and little later. I'm just going to take a little string of this, and normally I use a makeup brush, but I wanted to try this chip brush to see if I would like it. Spoiler alert, I don't like it. So I just go around and add my wood grain to the tumbler around. And I just take it in the same direction, back and forth. And this gives you a wood grain effect. And I go around the tumbler doing this. I do end up switching to my makeup brush, which I end up liking so much better. And for the first go around, I'm just using the caramel. And then I do add in a little later, when we'll get to that, the black. And I do bring in, I believe, Latte as well. The shorter strokes that you do, the more of a wood grain type. I don't even know the word I'm looking for. The different grains that you'll get, as you can see right here. But that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm going to do this all the way around the tumbler. And here shortly, I do switch to my makeup brush because I'm just not liking this chip brush. I don't know if it's just too big, but it's soaking up a lot of my alcohol ink and I'm just not liking it at all. I realized here I'm using an older one that had a different color alcohol ink, so it kind of had a different color on it. So I'm trying to clean it up just a little bit, and it was still too red. I think it had ginger on it, so it's more of a reddish. So I grab a new makeup brush and try to fix that, which is no big deal. That it has the different tones and textures in it, which is fine. So I'm just going along and finishing up the first round of the wood grain that I want. And then once I get that first one done, I make sure that I get every part. I don't want any white showing at all. Then it's time to address the bottom. So I just take it off of its wand and just pour alcohol ink on the bottom and making sure that I cover the entire bottom. And any drips that are down to the side, I just make sure to address that so that it all looks like one cohesive piece. So now I want to age this a little bit. So I'm just pouring a little bit of the alcohol ink and a little bit of black into it and mixing that together. So here I'm adding some black onto it, just in some sporadic spots. And then I'm going to take some more of that caramel and lighten it up some, because you don't want it that dark. And this is where my chip brush does come in handy, because you don't want it so dark to where it's just black. And then I decide to, here in just a bit, to grab my Latte, which is a lighter brown, which will help lighten that up a little bit more, because you still want some of that darkness, because when you think of a whiskey barrel, you think of it kind of aged. So that black helps age it, but you also want to not completely blacken it, if this makes any sense at all. Now when I'm adding in this latte, I'm not taking the brush completely all the way to the end. I want to add some of those grain strokes in, and where you see where it's dark and having, you'll see right here, where I'm just sort of stopping before I get to the top. And then is leaving, well, the wood grain in it. And I'm loving how it's leaving some of these dark marks. I'm just loving how this is turning out. So I pour a little bit on the paper and I mix it a little bit into that black where it reactivates some of that black ink. I'm just loving how this is turning out, because I still want to add some of that black ink, but not so much so that it just muddies up this tumbler. So now I'm going to address the bottom again, and I just mixed it on my paper, and then I'm just going to create a little bit of a wood grain on the bottom as well. So with the brush wet, I'm just kind of moving the brush in a circular, and then I decide to just kind of go back and forth to create some sort of kind of a knot, but not a full knot. If you'll see here in just a second how I kind of go back and forth to kind of create this semi knot. If maybe, I don't even know, it's just some texture. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, just some texture on the bottom. Now that the alcohol ink is all done, I'm going to let this sit and dry for a full 24 hours before I put any epoxy. Once this is done, I will put one coat of epoxy on it before I put any decals. And then this is what it looks like. So then it's time to put the decals. So I cut out these strips of vinyl. So I go around and I cut out 4 total strips. So the first time I put it around, it was really loose at the top and had a lot of bunching, and I just cut off the excess. I end up fixing this up at the top. These are just under a 1/2 inch strips. And then I go just under that and put the second strip underneath that. And I'm pulling this kind of taut so that there isn't any bunching on the second one. So then I decide to pull up the first one and do the same thing and pull it taut. And this helped so much with the bunching, and cut off the excess. And then I do the same thing on the bottom and pull it taut. And I do the same exact thing with the 4th strip. And then the decal that I used, I had found off of Etsy, and I placed that in the middle. And I did most of the weeding. There was just some really small pieces that I couldn't, so I just waited until I got it on the tumbler to weed out the remaining little teeny tiny pieces. So because this is a curved surface, I had to do some of it in pieces, with cutting out the taking off the transfer tape, or it would have been all whopper jawed. So you see me taking and laying down parts of it in little pieces. Once all of that was weeded, I went ahead and took my 91% alcohol and cleaned up the inside of the tumbler from all that alcohol ink that had gotten in there from when I did all the wood grain. I did take my heat gun on a low setting and just go around to heat up the vinyl to make sure that it did adhere pretty nicely to the tumbler to lay down nicely. Oops, missed 2 pieces. My bad. Got them. So then once all that was done, just making sure that I got everything and it looks okay. And then I am going to make sure that I seal this 2 times with my Rust-Oleum Clear spray. And then I will add a total of 3 coats of epoxy to this tumbler. And then it is done. Look how cool this looks. I'm absolutely in love with it. And I know that MJ's husband is going to love this. This was his request. Got it done for him. So hopefully he likes it. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a great big thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.